Hi there, Sig Trent back again, another one of my video essays. It's been a little while since the last one, but I wanted to get back in the habit of doing these. We've been working on our streaming. You can see that over at Sig Trent Plays Games on Facebook and on Twitch, and on our website, sigtrent.com. All right, well, let's talk about today's essay. The title of the essay, the question that was asked to me, is Do we go back to normal after COVID-19? A little bit of a weighty question this time, and I guess it's asking a lot of me to kind of look into the future or to give my views and opinions. So I'll do my best. I haven't done very controversial or current topics lately on these videos, but I by no means need to shy away from them. So this is recorded on July 5th. I think that's important because this is an ever-changing situation. The question was asked nearly a month and a half ago. Things were very different at that time, and we had no way of knowing what would happen in the future, what the new normal would be. This question comes from Marianne, and thank you very much, Marianne, for this question. All right, well, let me see if I can try to address it. First of all, just to answer the question directly, I don't think so. I don't think we go back to normal. I think there will be a new normal, and that COVID-19 will eventually not be something that will be so concerning for all of us. It won't be so involving. We'll have new crises, new challenges, new things to worry about, new threats, and maybe new joys as well, hopefully. So, but I do think that we'll be living with the consequences of COVID-19 for some time, both economically and the disease itself. So let's talk about maybe some of the things that could happen in the future and what we could go back to. I do think we want to go back to like relative safety and relative peace. These are things that we really want, and relative prosperity. Okay, these are the things that in life we feel are good. If we feel at peace, if we feel safe, and if we feel prosperous, we're generally really pretty happy. So that's kind of what we want to go back to. Now, not everybody was feeling those things before COVID-19, but a lot of us lost a lot of these things during COVID-19. Some of us lost our loved ones and lost our lives. So yeah, we'd like to go back to those better virtues, but I don't think that's something that you go backwards in order to get. I mean, dramatic changes are always going to modify how society works, modify how individuals work, how we live our lives. And there's no kind of going back, getting back the lost loved ones. That can't happen. Getting back our health, we can't do it. So we're going to have to go forward and build something new and try to overcome these challenges in new and different ways. And also there's a question of when will it be gone and how. So if we develop a vaccine, it's quite likely that enough people will get vaccinated that we can build herd immunity, and COVID-19 can join the other list of diseases that have been defeated by modern medical science, like smallpox and polio, some of these things which still exist but are largely under control thanks to vaccination and thanks to medical science and thanks to the contributions of individual people to try and overcome these social challenges, right? That's super important, that we are able to recognize that it's a difficulty and that we can all play some kind of a role in overcoming it. And I think that's really essential. Is herd immunity our future? We don't develop a vaccine, but we get herd immunity through infection? Maybe so. There's going to be a lot more deaths, a lot more carnage, if that's the way we have to do it. And this vaccine and this disease will be with us more or less forever, circulating around the periphery in poor countries or in places where people are not willing to take the appropriate precautions. It's incredibly virulent. So it's really hard to stop this. It's not like some diseases where as soon as you see somebody who's infectious, you know they're sneezing, they're having a lot of trouble, you can isolate them and you can really isolate the disease out of the population. That's not going to happen with COVID-19, except in very limited places. If we lock down our borders forever, I don't think that's a reasonable solution. Life has to go on in one way or another. So that kind of brings me to like, what do we do differently in the future? How is this going to change our society? Well, first of all, I think the most important thing is we learn from our mistakes. We look what happened and what we did wrong and how can we do better. For me, one of the big lessons that seems to get missed, there was a lot of back and forth and debate about, do we shut everything down, totally close the economy, go indoors and just wait it out and it'll just go away, right? Unfortunately, that doesn't always work. It works if you can really control who's got it and what situation, right? It's a good short-term response. And with isolation of that society, you can control the virus. There are many places that have done this. But they've also discovered if anybody can come back in from the outside where the virus is still active, then it can spread again, right? And right now, the United States and a few other countries, Brazil and some others, have large growing numbers of infections and are in danger of reinfecting everywhere else. And this will happen over and over and over again until there's some kind of permanent solution. The other thing that people do, we'll just forget about it. We'll just live with it. It's not that bad. This is a terrible idea. It is bad. It's incredibly virulent. It's quite dangerous. Not as dangerous as some other diseases out there, but it has killed a huge number of people, and the number of people who've lost their lives from it has just skyrocketed. We don't want that, right? So let's treat it very seriously. There is a middle way. You can go about your life and you can do business and you can do other things, but you can modify how you do it. Work at home more. Wear a mask when you're in public. Social distancing, these things. I mean, they've been with us kind of since the beginning, but it's up to us to create new solutions and ways that once we understand how this virus is spread and we're getting a better understanding of that, we can take steps so that we can do the things that we need to do in order to continue life. Because let's be honest, we got to grow food, we got to build shelter, we got to entertain each other, we got to live our life and be happy, right? But we can make some small sacrifices. We can make some adjustments in how we do it so that we get the best of both worlds, or the best possible within the situation. I think that's something we need to figure out. I mean, just stop fighting each other, being quite so angry, and try to all work towards a solution if possible. I know sometimes you feel like the only way you can get other people to pay attention to you is to get kind of fearsome. Sometimes that does work, but it's not my game plan here on these videos, so that's not what I'm advocating. So let's try to move together, reach some sensible conclusions, and really focus on ourselves. What can we do to make things better? Are we trying to make the situation better, or are we being selfish and making the situation worse? That's what we need to pay attention to. We need to recognize when we have poor versus good leadership. All right, there are places where COVID-19 was well controlled. They have good leadership. They had people who know how to react to this plan. They took the best science, they made the best judgments, and they've done well. And there are places where there were poor leadership and poor decisions were made and things got out of control and a lot of bad stuff happened. So we need to look who was successful, who failed. This is the pragmatic approach to policy. If you were successful, this is a good methodology. If you were a failure, this is a bad methodology, right? So we need to be pragmatic about deciding what was good leadership and what wasn't. And then in the future, try to pick people who have and advocate for these good ideas and reject the people who didn't succeed so well, right? Reward success, punish failure. I think that's a good idea. Maybe we can all keep a little bit better hygiene. I mean, I live here in Japan. People have asked me, why has Japan avoided as much of COVID-19 as they have? I mean, they do get it. It's here, but they do a good job of lowering it overall, even though the government, in many people's eyes, has made some missteps. That's because the average person in Japan, before, about 1/3 of people wore masks in public anyway, especially in the winter because of the common cold. People are quite religious about washing their hands here and maintaining really good hygiene. So I think the virus finds it a much more difficult environment to propagate around in, because people are very responsible as individuals, trying not to get the disease and trying not to spread the disease. And now that COVID-19 is here and it's a real factor, at about 98% of people I see on the subway are wearing masks. And a great many, there's a hand washing station at every restaurant. They haven't shut down the economy. They're just very cautious and very careful about things. It has hurt business. There's no doubt about that. Things are down, but they've managed to maintain a kind of a medium and do the best they can in the situation. And that's really what I advocate. All right, so let's not look too much to going back. Let's look to where we want to go in the future and focus on that. We can return to prosperity, we can return to peace, and we can return to safety if we put our thinking caps on and we work together and we try to do the right thing. And it's going to start with us as individuals. We each are going to have to do our own thing. And before we go out telling everybody else what to do, I think it's very important that we make sure that we're doing what we can. And then we reach out and try to help others do the right thing. But, if people if it's going to be violence and cause problems even greater than the ones that you're trying to solve, it's probably not worth it. If you're angry and yelling at people, you are like spraying whatever it is you've got all over everybody else. That's not helping anybody. Try to pull it back and try to maintain some kind of calm and try to reach people. Think carefully about what that person's values is, how you can reach out to them in a way that they're going to be more receptive and explain to them what's going on. It goes for both sides, every side, anybody, everybody. Look to yourself first, do the right thing, then try to help others. All right, it's kind of like putting on your safety masks in the airplane, right? That sort of thing. All right, well, I think that's it. I'm always optimistic. I'm very hopeful, so I'm hoping we can go to a wonderful world where we have learned a number of lessons, and we don't face this kind of pandemic danger again, but it's always a possibility. So we should always be prepared. We should remember these lessons, teach them to our children, record what happened, especially look to the successes that we've already had and try to model ourselves on those. All right, well, that's all I've got on this topic. Thanks very much. Catch you later. Bye-bye.